War Eagle Auburn family, welcome back to another edition of E2C Network Live, where we get together and we talk about what's going on in the world of the Auburn family spectrum. We're always heavy on the sports here on this channel, but if it's orange and blue, it is what we do. Thank you for joining us here on our post-game reaction show. No stats really involved in this, no hardcore analysis, just reacting to what we all experienced, whether you were here in Jordan-Hare Stadium like I was, getting sunburned at the very end of the game for a very miserable ending to the game, or watching it from the comfort of your home, at least being miserable on your own couch at home. We're going to talk about it here, break it down, talk about our feelings, try to process this in somewhat of a productive manner, although I don't know that there's really much productive manner to be had with this. It is the reality of the situation. We're going to try to have some fun along the way. All those things are up tab, and we'll obviously take some of your comments and your questions throughout the stream as we can. So please do make sure you post in there that you're watching right now. This is our check-in period. Post where you're watching from, city, state, international, with all of that stuff. Post, with a War Eagle, if you can muster it right now, that would be great. If you're a Arkansas fan, which I'm surprised we didn't get a lot of interaction with them this week, because there's a very heavy contingency of them on YouTube. So it'll be interesting to see if they want to pop in here and drop some WPSs and some wee pig sueys, as I like to say that they do. So we'll see. Post all that right now. Post where you're watching from, city, state, international. Smash the like button. Let's get this thing going right now. Tell people we're live. Come into your post-game therapy session with me. I will start off by saying with this, look, if your only comment is going to be fire Harsin, this is not the place for you. We all know that is inevitably coming at some point. Unless there's information that we all don't know. So we're going to try to focus more so on other things to talk about other than that, because it's really getting boring to even talk about that at some point. Billy McGriff, War Eagle still. I agree, sir. Should always be able to say War Eagle no matter what. Rob on Facebook too. Good to see you. Roderick, I don't see Roderick. By the way, did you call? Was that you that called in earlier or this week when we missed you? There was somebody that called in, got in line on our live show on Wednesday, and I missed them because they were so far back in the line. So if that was you, I apologize for that. I don't see us making a bowl game this year. The defense is worn out. I agree with that. Offensively, still no identity, and we still don't know what we do well. I would disagree that we don't know we do well. We don't do anything well. The run game has picked up a little bit, but there has to be some type of an offensive game, offensive passing game to support that run game as well. And there's times where it looks great. Let me just say this. We always try to kind of focus on some of the happy things too. Camden Brown looked great in this game. What was it? One touchdown and then a one-handed grab on that one, then a super long touchdown. He's going to be a star here at Auburn. Really excited for him. But if you're making the assumption that that pass at the end that he caught was, weren't we doing that the whole time? It was against the second stringers, folks. Chill out. I mean, it's much easier to do when you're playing against the second stringers. But still, the point stands that it is frustrating to see plays like that happen and wonder why they didn't happen early in the game. Yeah, listen, I don't want to venture out and say that I'm completely eliminating any possibility of us making a bowl game at this point, but it is the further we get in to the downward spiral, it becomes harder and harder. It is still highly likely that we can make a bowl game, but we cannot lose any other games other than the Alabama game at this point. But right now, that's not even what we should be really focusing on. Let me back up here. We might have trouble getting Rocket League. No, I can't play Rocket League from the mobile broadcast studio. Good to see you, Joe. Kyle, do you know that AU has hired a new AD? Are you asking me? I've seen the circulation about the guy from Mississippi State. I haven't heard that that's an official statement. So here's my assumption of what's going to happen here. Auburn's not going to make a move on the football coach until they have an AD in place, and then it's going to take it about, I don't know, a week or so for them to finally pull the trigger with him. Because the very first thing that you do when you get here, you don't want to fire the coach. You want to at least move into your office, I would suspect. Now, listen, at any point here, they could just announce that Coach Harsin's fired. I would suspect we'd already know that information. If it was going to happen today, But if it does happen, we might stop the stream and restart with a focus on that. But like I said, trying to not focus on that so much because we all know that's coming. Negotiations, yeah, with him. That'll be a whole nother live stream, I'm sure, when we get that official announcement, if that's the case. I have not dug into the Mississippi State one, but I kind of liked, the more I read about the Utah State guy, I kind of liked that one a lot. We'll have to see what happens for there. Scotty says, I just don't understand how you look that bad coming off a bye week. Well, let me put that in perspective for you, Scotty. And this is my interpretation of this. What we now know. So, coming off the Ole Miss game, offense looked a lot better. Defense was just worn down and, obviously kind of fell apart like they've done in this game and previous other games. Not from a lack of effort. What we now know, and, with Ole Miss losing the game after us, Ole Miss is not as good as they look. They're decent. They're not as good as they look. So we obviously ran up on a team that was highly overrated, and we exposed them in some areas that they're very susceptible to. So with that in mind, it's not so much that we took a down step in my eyes. It's that we now know officially what we are. That was more of what we were able to do against an opponent that wasn't as good as everybody thought they were going to be. So it's not as shocking to me in that context. But if you'll recall what I said, I don't know if it was on the reaction show or because we had, a 2-week break. We did several live streams. If we had a regression, that would be very concerning for me. And so I think I am in the camp now that this team is just not going to get it together. Now, there are 4 games left in the season. Who knows? I'm always open and hoping for those possibilities, but I just don't think they're going to get it figured out. What was the misdirections about the starting quarterback? I think it was a tech issue. Earlier in the lineup announcement, they had in DJ James's spot, was it Nehemiah Pritchett listed twice, I think is what it was. It was a computer. The video board didn't even have the stats up for it felt like the entire first half. So I think there were just problems with audio visual today, much like the football team. Jeremiah Wright wasn't playing. I don't know. I didn't really look for him. He was announced as the starter. Then again, Holden Geriner was announced as the starter too. All right, let me skip ahead. I know we're getting behind in chat here. Shadow, I'm going to disagree with you completely. Anyone who still supports the coaching staff needs to check their love for Auburn. I would actually counter that on you, sir. If you are questioning people for supporting the people that are part of the Auburn family still, and even when people leave, they're still part of the Auburn family to some degree and to what extent they want to be. So be careful when you're pointing the finger. 3 more are pointing back at you. You can still support the coaching staff and acknowledge that this is probably not going to be what works for us going forward. And I'm moving myself over into that category. I still will openly and actively support this team, the coaching staff, and the head coach, because that's what we're supposed to do as Auburn family. We don't make any progress by, fire Harsin, and saying stupid things like this. I'm sorry, I'm just going to be mean to you, Shadow. Stupid things like this are asinine. I just can't even fathom that comment. Sorry. That's the first time I'm probably going to be super mean to someone on here, but that's just really what it is. My love for Auburn, don't you dare check that. Let's see. And I agree, Devin, as well. I agree with that. Let's see. The good thing is that next week, Mississippi State doesn't run the ball. Yeah, but they pass the ball very well when they want to. So, listen, there are no gimme games from this point. We talked a lot about Auburn getting through the first half of its season, getting outside of Georgia, outside of Penn State, out of LSU, out of Ole Miss, and really having outside of the Alabama game a much easier second half. We know what we have to work with. This is a team that if they don't score early and often, they're going to have a hard time catching up. And that's really what the identity of this team is right now. And it's sad for me to admit that, but I'm starting to finally get enough. See, here's the difference is with a lot of people jumping on the hate bandwagon, the hate bandwagon early, is that they didn't wait for enough time to actually have some facts to back that up, some extensive amount of game time to watch this thing. We now know what we're working with. And it still could change. It could. I don't think I'm spreading sunshine today. I'm openly saying that I'm kind of making peace with what's going to happen with the team's future for the season and afterward. I'm not calling for Harson's firing. Those are decisions that, and the coaching staff, those are decisions that are outside my pay grade, and I'm going to support who's here until they leave. Let's see here. And let's see. Devin, our football is like raising a child. What? There will be a lot of screw ups and growing. Just have to take the lumps and continue on. Yeah, to some degree, but at some point you got to really change things up. Auburn will have back-to-back losing seasons. How does everyone defend that? I don't think anyone's defending that. I think that's the thing in the whole Auburn Civil War thing that's happening on social media is people are misunderstanding each other. Those like myself that are calling for still full support of the team and the coach while they're here are not accepting of this and are not happy about this. It is simply saying that our Auburn creed dictates that we treat each other with respect as we would like to be treated with respect. And I think plenty of you are displaying that you don't understand that concept. So I question your Auburn fandom. Yeah, it's interesting watching some people's things. All right, we've talked enough about that for now. We can come back to some of that, but what stuck out to you in this game? Any good things? Obviously bad things. The bad things for me, the defense, and it's this hard place that I find myself with them because we can see that they're not getting the offensive support. We can see that they're out there more than they should, and they're bending late in the game, and you kind of understand that, but at some point you're kind of like, all right, look, y'all know what the deal is. Get it together. Like, it's just frustrating, right? To see the same pattern. I saw a lot of people posting about this on social media in the game. It's the same thing every single game. And I tend to agree with that. Earlier, I forget who said it, we don't know our identity. We know our identity. It's the same thing over and over again. If we do not score early and often, we will not be able to keep up with the other offenses, especially if they have a halfway decent offense. That's just the reality of it. I want to say something that's really good, not even game related. I am super proud of everybody that was in the stadium that did not boo. Obviously, it would have been directed at Harsin, but the team at the end of the game. I think, obviously, Jarquez Hunter saved us from that, scoring that last-minute touchdown and kind of had everybody at least somewhat not frowning or smiling, but at least kind of having a neutral face. I think that probably saved that, but I want to commend everybody in the stadium because I was really ready to yell at some people if they started booing the coach, but that would be also felt by the team. So that was very, very, very nice to see happen, or not happen, I guess, is what I'm getting at. Shadow, you're missing the point. You're not listening. You're being like Brian was earlier in the season, not Brian, who I apologized earlier and got mixed up with. You're not listening. No one is making excuses. No one is not calling out the problem. You're not listening. You're just being upset online, getting all riled up by things. Chill out, my man. All Freeze fans to Auburn, good luck with that thought. Yeah, well, I mean, listen, nothing's ever done, but I'm not saying that I even want that particular thing. Any other good things that stuck out to you guys other than the Camden Brown situations with the great throw? I mean, I felt like, obviously, Tank's big run, you could see the relief on his face almost when he broke free. And to me, it was like, yes, I've done it again here. I'm doing it in front of my home crowd. But it was almost like, how many times has that man run hard this game or this season and had a call pulled back because of a holding call? That man had so much relief on his face. And it was so nice to see him complete a great run. And it was good blocking, too. And he hit the hole at the perfect time and just burst out there. It was kind of shades of Ontario McCaleb against LSU in 2010. I'll never forget that moment where he just comes around the bend on what I think it was a jet sweep. I don't think maybe it was a jet. It wasn't a jet sweep, but it was at least an extended run to the outside. And Ontario McCaleb hit that hole and was just gone. Very similar to Tank. Tank is not the fastest guy, but you can see what he can do with his powerful legs and his momentum. That was like, I saw that one. I was not in the end zone, but in kind of the corner section. So watching that happen there that close was just great. Made me very, very happy for Tank. So I want to talk about highlights, a few of them that there are in this game. That's one of them. Let's see here. Oh, you're talking about the Freeze fans. I don't remember us seeing that many Freeze fans on here. It's more been Deion Sanders and Lane Kiffin in my eyes, but I could be missing out on them as well. You know, I'll be honest with you guys. I've kind of debated back and forth whether even we want to do a grades thing on Monday night. We probably still will, but I'm a little apprehensive of it just because it's the same old. It's going to be the same old grades, but maybe we'll glean a little bit more information from it by looking at stats and stuff like that. Now, frustrating parts of, talking about reactions to this game. There's a 6-year streak now broken against Arkansas of beating them. The last time it happened, it was an overtime game with Gus because Gus handled them all except for one game. So we've been Arkansas's daddy for a while now, and they finally got one up. I don't know if y'all have seen the social media account on Twitter for Arkansas football posted the man they moved fast, and it was a picture of Jordan-Hare Stadium with a Spirit Halloween sign in front of it. Well played on all accounts. I have to tip my hat to their social media account and marketing department there. Of course, I promptly tweeted back at them, enjoy it, little piggies. It's been a while since y'all been to market. So, we can have fun with it. Let them have their fun. They haven't had a lot to celebrate when it comes to playing Auburn. We all can enjoy it, right? I'm trying to understand some of y'all's conversations that you're having here. Yep, same with Ole Miss. Ole Miss hadn't beaten Auburn since 2015. So, I'm not trying to pile on, but also like what's his name? Shadow was accusing people of ignoring the problem. Brian Harson's greatest thing is he's going to have on his resume here is beating the LSU streak. He's also going to have breaking all these other streaks as well on that. It's not fun. It's not good. It is a reality. But anyway. And Tyler, so for those of you that don't know, Tyler is one of our close family friends. He likes to mess with me on this. Did I not tell you that I had, applied for the athletic director job? That's what's been taking so long, guys. That's why we haven't fired him, is because I'm waiting for the moment where they'll give me the amount of money that I'm asking for, and then I'll get on the job and move over to rehiring Gus Malzahn and make y'all all super happy. Scotty, I will always support our head coach because, to be honest, he hasn't had a fair shake since he got here. Scotty, I was talking with someone in the stands today during the game, and I support that line of thinking to some degree. I personally would have hoped to have seen a little bit extra oomph from them, even given those circumstances by now. My stance has always been, as 4 years minimum for a coach to make an accurate decision. Now, outside of ethical, moral dilemmas like that, but also there has to be kind of some proof of concept, and there's very little of that here. So it's one of those conversations where my support is there for him until he's gone, but you're not going to see me crying rivers if we decide to make a change at the same time. I would cry rivers for Auburn because we are in the situation that we never should have been in my opinion. I know. And don't you love it, Ryan? Don't you love it when I have a snappy comeback like that? Yeah, I would not love the job as Auburn AD, to be honest with you. I think we all probably would say, I'd get this thing fixed in a heartbeat, but then you'd realize when you got in there how bad it would be. Oh, man, Neil. God. You want to talk about just making a reaction show even worse? It's listen, Auburn fans don't have the connection that they have with Vince Dooley because he went to Georgia and was such a big figure for them. Pat Dye was the opposite version of that for us, but he's still part of the Auburn family. And so when you lose someone like that, you're sad because of a great legend in Auburn history, but Georgia history, I was going to say Southeastern Conference history, is gone. But there's also that extra connection to Pat that's gone now too. I remember being here at the unveiling of the Pat Dye statue, and Vince was here, and it was kind of a surprise that he made it because I guess his health's been bad for a while. And that was a very special moment. So it's sad. It really, really is. This is the one time that you'll find UGA fans and Auburn fans united is over our sadness in the passing of Vince Dooley. I hate that he was as successful as he was outside of us, but he's still an Auburn person. See, hey, Shadow, see, that's how you handle being part of the Auburn family. You can still love someone and respect them, despite that you may not necessarily like what they've done to your program. Because Vince Dooley's done some bad things to our program in terms of the success that he had against us. But he's still an Auburn guy. Might want to read that creed a little bit closer, buddy. I'm going full in on him. Michael, Michael, it was you I got to see from somewhat of a far, about 10 feet away in the stand. Was that you, Michael? If so, it was nice to kind of, next time, come on over. I actually came down the steps and was kind of looking to see if you were there. And when I got up to go to the bathroom and get some food, and I didn't see you there, so I would have come down and said hello too. So I would say this to everybody. If you see me in public, come up and say hello. I love meeting people and talking to people, even if we disagree, because I think that's what makes the Auburn family so special. You teared up about the Vince thing. I will say, it's just to be honest, I didn't necessarily tear up because of Vince, but because of that connection to Pat, right? He means a lot to college football and the Southeastern Conference and to us to some extent. But for me, that's what it really kind of harkens back to. Oh no, I can't take any more losses today, Devin. I can't take any more losses today on that. Who was Elvis or how was Elvis? Well, I can't tell you who Elvis is. Sometimes he pops into the chat. He's Auburn Elvis. He's on Twitter. Follow him. He does the Auburn Equestrian podcast for us called War Horses. You need to know him, man. He's a pretty cool dude. So if you're asking who was Elvis, I can't tell you that because I can't tell you that because he's Elvis, Auburn Elvis. For those of you that don't know, I was sitting with Auburn Elvis at the game. Ironically, no cameras panned over to him at all this game, and I thought for sure I was going to be stuck on camera sitting awkwardly next to him, but luckily I didn't see it happen. But yeah, so all right, I'm trying to think of other storylines from this game outside of the boring stuff that we all know that we're upset with the decisions and the future and the progression of the team in terms of coaching and stuff like that. Talked about Camden Brown, Tank Bigsby's big run. Some good moments, I thought, from linebackers at times in this game. I saw Wesley Steiner and Owen getting back into the backfield. We got some pressure on KJ Jefferson, more than I thought we would early on especially. And I think that's what really kind of propelled us to be kind of more into the game. But you can kind of see what happened. You can do that all you want, but if you get no support from the offense, it makes it a little bit more challenging. So that's another somewhat bright spot. Listen, I'm trying real hard to find the bright spots. There's not a lot of them. Anders Carlson had his miss on the day and then made his other two and then had the blocked one. I didn't get a really good look if it was a low kick on his part or if they just got a really good jump. I can't really make a determination on that without going back and looking at that one. My assumption was it was a little bit of a low kick. I don't remember anybody getting up super high, but obviously not a great day for him, but he responded well after missing that first kick. Did anyone see the fairy waving her hand on the Arkansas sideline? I did not see that. I don't know what you're getting at there. Can I just say this too? You want to talk about what grinds my gears and annoys me? Is listening and having in the fourth quarter to listen to opposing teams get to play their fight song so much. It's yes, that's our own fault for allowing that to happen, but it is annoying the heck out of me. Like, I literally want to just like throw like popcorn at them. And I'm sitting far away from them every single time, but it's just, it rubs me the wrong way. Brian says it was a low kick. I can see that, just especially being a former kicker. Was it a 49-yard kick, I think is what the attempt was. You want to try to get a little bit more umped, which means you're going to probably kick it a little bit lower. Frustrating, either way. I really thought Auburn would keep it close. If we had gone down and taken more advantage of that first drive and that fumble more than a field goal, you're probably looking at a situation where Auburn's 14-7 at that moment if they score their first touchdown too, because their first two drives I think weren't that great if I remember, or maybe it was just the first drive. And this is probably a game with the momentum behind them. Everybody's looking for something to be excited about. The crowd's even more into it than they were. This is a much different story. You give Auburn fans a reason in Jordan-Hare Stadium to get in the heads of these opposing players, they will do it. 52-yard attempt. Thank you for the clarification. So it was longer than I thought. I'm still dying on Arkansas's mascot. Well played. Well played. I saw a lot of good puns and stuff with obviously bacon and piggies and all that kind of stuff. It's almost like Arkansas is probably one of the better mascots, fan bases to make fun of in that regard, which is, is really good. We left after the last touchdown in the third. We didn't miss much, except, you missed the touchdown for Jarquez and then the big Camden throw, which were probably two of the highlights of the game, to be honest with you. Braves fan says we need a new quarterback. I agree and disagree with you. Zach Calzada's done for the year. TJ is hurt. Now probably further behind in the progressions and stuff, even if he was healed up completely. Holden's young. I don't know that it's probably in our best interest to throw him into the fire here, at least and not for another game, so he doesn't waste his red shirt. I personally think Robbie, given what we have to work with, especially with the offensive line still, even though there have been maybe some slight improvements for the offensive line, we've been doing a little bit better than the run game, he's the best of what we got. And I'm not, that sounds like I'm kind of giving him a slight. I'm not. I think he's a talented guy. He obviously can make plays. There were times today I thought he made some really good decisions under duress. We're seeing some good things from him. So, yes, we obviously could have a better quarterback right now. But I think Robbie's doing the best that he can and is probably our best solution right now. Now, if he stays, obviously, and whatever happens with the team and the program leadership-wise going forward, that could change a lot. But I don't think Robbie is far from the biggest problem on this team. Far from it. They were smoking a whole hog by the old hayfield. So were they really doing that? Is that where you parked out there? I've been meaning to come out there and spend some more time. I'm just so busy when I get here on Fridays especially, and sometimes all day Saturday, even after the games. Today I'm just going home because I'm done. But I want to come spend some more time at the hayfields with some of the people out there. I think Rob, who's here on the channel a lot, he has a big old tailgate. It's probably what he's doing. That's why he's not here right now. He's like, I can't deal with that. Ryan says that Finley ain't it. I don't think TJ Finley is the answer for us. I've heard a lot of other commentators talk about it. I think he does have a pretty good skill set. I just don't know that he thrives with us, nor will we thrive with him. Robbie, if he had a few more years of experience behind him, maybe this would be a little bit different. It's not wowing me, but it's also, I think he's the best option we got. Let's see here. The Auburn family needs to back Ashford. I think most of us are backing Ashford. Frankly, I don't know who isn't at this point. I think I think if the O-line holds the line, Robbie would be one of the best quarterbacks in the SEC. I don't know that I agree with that, Corey. He makes, even when he's got time, it's a youth thing, it's an experience thing, some decisions, in my opinion, that are not good, but that comes with time. I think anybody with a better offensive line would be successful here at Auburn as a quarterback, to be frank. Again, given the fact the last 2 games, maybe there's been some progress in that route. Let's see here. Do you think we'll be bowl eligible this year? Gosh, man. It is highly possible. I don't know that I can say it's highly likely. If you can get your house, that just threw that Corey house, your mind wrapped around that concept. It's highly possible, maybe not highly likely. A lot of things have to change, and they have not changed consistently this year. Coach Harsin has talked a lot about in the press conference about us not making some of the same old mistakes, about making new mistakes, which is something that's taken out of context a lot. It actually is a very good thought process. Today, no turnovers. Who would have thought? As turnover prone as Robbie's been at times, as some of our other guys. Now, Tank did kind of have a moment there where he looked like he gave one up, but was called correctly, not a fumble. That's progress. Not enough, but it is some progress. So if you want to find a silver lining, there you go. Any person with jeez. Agreed, Tyler. You're about to say no turnover. Surprised that hasn't been talked about. Well, I think Neil, it's a good point. You have seen, I don't know which beat writer to credit with. I'm trying to think if I can remember which one it was, but they were talking about this during the game. Robbie Ashford was like 20-something for 30-something. It wasn't a bad completion by his standards so far, what we've seen from his body of work of this year. No turnovers and a touchdown, and we're still doing this bad. That just shows you that something's not right and not working overall. It's a much bigger problem than just Robbie, than even just the O-line. It's just not a good year right now. Yeah, agree, Scotty. But again, I think there was some progress the last 2 games, at least in the running game. Yeah, Andy, we've been going for a little bit now, so we've talked about this a little bit. Camden Brown is a huge target. If you're worried, I would not be worried about Camden Brown going anywhere. I think Camden Brown knows and sees he's needed with or without Harsin for the long term, and sees the opportunity before him to become the guy at wide receiver for Auburn for the next year or 2. As a freshman, we would, in theory, have him for 2 more years if he chose to stay with Auburn. And he can make a name for himself here at Auburn with his catch radius, with his ability to go up and get the ball, his body measurables, his just athletic ability. Again, that last pass was against the second stringers there, so don't get so hyped up about that why weren't we doing that earlier? Well, we weren't doing it because we weren't playing against the second stringers. Doesn't take away from the talent that he is. Very excited about his future. Brandon, I don't know in any way where you're getting that from, but I'm sure more people would be talking about it if there was something to that. Let's see here. How can you sit there and watch such a pitiful game? Well, Wild Jumper, because I love Auburn. And because I love being here in Auburn, Alabama. Or I love watching it on the TV, because that is, the win or lose doesn't change. Yeah, is that Pollyanna-ish? So I would ask you, how can you not sit there and watch your team and be thankful that you just have an Auburn football game to watch? Be careful. I'll get on you like I got on Shadow. He's obviously run off or he's lurking in the background somewhere. He messed with the bull and he got the horns today. So I can watch the pitiful game, which it was, because I love Auburn. And did I doze off for a little bit? Maybe. There was a moment I was sitting there next to Auburn Elvis and I didn't even realize we had the ball because I had just checked. I had to check out for like about 5 minutes and just be like, oh, this is awful. It was in between some of those timeouts that were being used and stuff like that. And it just got a little bit, a few issues. Nope. Absolutely not. If he comes here, I'll obviously support him, but absolutely not. We only get 12 a year. Enjoy them. Enjoy the wins more, obviously. Yeah, listen, I always said this before, but, you know, the pandemic changed my perspective on that forever. I will never be ungrateful for having Auburn football to watch because I love being in that stadium. I love listening to the band. I love watching Abby. I love watching the guys out there, even if they're not doing a great job. It's just what it is. So that's how I watch pitiful games. I know the allure of that. I get it. It won't last. We need someone who wants to be at Auburn. Well said. Well said. Let's see. I turned it off a bunch of times. Listen, I'm fine if you just need to check out for a minute. I checked out for about 5 minutes, just sitting there in the stands burning up. You guys still got me? Let me know. Give me a thumbs up. Or I guess a like. Yes, like the video if you haven't, but let me know that you guys can see and hear me. It looks like the AV issues extend far beyond the Jumbotron today. So once you know you can hear me and see me, let me know. We'll go for a little bit longer. Still seeing. Okay, working again. Cool. Thank you guys. Thank you guys. Don't know what happened there. You know, Auburn, not Wi-Fi, but signals around here can be a little bit spotty. Usually where I am, and I do these from when we're on the road, is one of the better areas. But if you go about half a mile that way, maybe less, quarter of a mile, it gets pretty spotty. It's much closer to Toomer's Corner, and it is eat up over there with bad signals. Harsin doesn't want to be at Auburn. No, I think Harsin wants to be at Auburn. Unless you've talked to him personally, Jerry, that's just stupid. He wants to be here, but do we want him to be here? And that's been made clear. It's not even worth going down. I would like Harsin to be here because in that world, we get it figured out and Auburn doesn't have to go through another cycle of instability. But that's probably not going to happen. And it didn't have to be this way. And there's someone trying to park next to me awkwardly. Thought they were going to hit my car. That was very scary for a moment. Now we moved on to talking about other Auburn games. Yeah, all right. We can start wrapping up here if you guys would like. I meant to say this. Other comments and questions about the game, you can post them right now. But I meant to say this at the very beginning. If you have not subscribed, please do. We are giving away a signed Auburn football right now, but you have to be a subscriber and you have to leave one original, relevant, genuine comment in the comment section of any video that's eligible. If you're wondering what the eligibility is of a video, there's a video about that. It's in the description too. It should be if you want to go link and watch that. But basically from this point, when you hear me say that, go post a comment in the comment section. Live chats do not count because there's just too much. But you must post a comment on one of the videos in the comment section and be a subscriber, and that will be one entry into this giveaway. Check out the video if you haven't. Links in the description. Check them out. Be a channel member, be a Booster Club member. Got more live streams coming out this week. A Monday scheduled one. Basketball starting this season, this next couple weeks here. So we'll be doing a lot more fun things, more exciting things, things that we're happy to talk about right now. So don't miss those things. Well, here we go, Jerry. We'll solve that problem for you, buddy, right now. We'll fix that problem for Jerry. I have no problem with any other Auburn podcast or things out there. In fact, I encourage you to go check all them out, because I don't think you should just take my opinion or anything like that, because it's my opinion and it's just an opinion. But I support, you getting a full experience within the Auburn experience of stuff. So, but if you don't want to be here, you don't have to be here, buddy. Head on out. I'm extra spicy today. Can you tell? Yeah, the Lanning King situation is interesting. I was very confused by him supporting the Auburn NIL collective, but it's an intriguing situation. I don't really know what to make of it. I reached out to someone who seems to be in the know, not in the know, sourced in that information, and they're still being pretty consistent that it's real and what's being reported is real. And I wish I could get more information about, not necessarily a name of where those reports about the red shirt situation are coming from. Not a name, but I'd like to know, is it a player? Is it a staff member? Is it someone, a booster, as people call them? Because it would give me some clarity on what to make of that information. Because if it's a player, I'm going to be highly skeptical, because I think there's some bitterness going around, maybe rightfully so, but it's still bitterness. So I know it's hard for me to really make that out. I'm just now thinking about this. Jerry was accusing me of being a sunshine pupper. He's obviously not been watching the entire show, because I don't think you can say this was sunshine pumping. I've been talking about how we're probably not going to make a bowl game, all that stuff. But I also take that sunshine pumping accusation with pride, because I'd rather be a person who's focused on positivity or trying to find some positivity than someone who's just wanting to be negative for the sake of being negative. If negativity makes you happy, it's a pretty sad statement about you. The truth's always somewhere in the middle. I agree. Seems like Auburn goes through these cycles with head coaches. Scott, that's probably not a bad assumption, to be honest with you. I'd like to think it's not because we're impatient, but I do think we're impatient. And I think sometimes we make decisions we shouldn't make given certain context, such as 2 years ago. And yeah, but there does seem to be a pattern sometimes there. I'm glad you guys are talking about Bo, but obviously he's not really part of the team anymore. So I'm happy for Bo. I'm not going to sit here and berate like I've done previously. I've made my point about Bo. Love the dude. Wish he had stayed. And I'm happy for him, but he's no longer part of our team, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on him. Tuberville's last year was awful. Chiswick's last year was awful. Then I was sitting there thinking in the stands. I was there for in the stands for Tuberville's. No, I wasn't, because that was in Tuscaloosa. But I was there for Gene's last game. I was not there for Malzahn's. I've been there for less last games for a coach than I thought. I think I was in the stadium for Terry Bowden's last game, maybe, as a child. I feel like my dad told me that. But I think we think sometimes that our experience as Auburn fans is somewhat exclusive and nobody else experiences these things. Have you seen what Tennessee's gone through lately? Yeah, they're having a great season, but it is a struggle for them sometimes. It is an absolute struggle. Yeah, it is. It's tough sometimes. What else? There was something else I was wanting to say to you guys. Oh, we had a question. Are Austin and I doing the live show tomorrow? That is the plan always. Unless you hear otherwise from us, plan for us to do an Auburn Experience podcast live recording at 9 Eastern, 8 Central every Sunday night. Unless you hear otherwise from us, because we love doing it and talking about it. Interesting to see what topics we'll get into, because, it gets boring to talk about more of the same of what's going on with the football program. So we might hit some more random things, probably some basketball focus, I would imagine, looking ahead to the season type of things, at least for one segment. But we'll try to give you a well-rounded show. If you had thoughts on something you'd like for us to talk about in that podcast, please let me know. Let's see. Auburn needs wide receivers just as bad as the offensive linemen. I disagree with that. I highly disagree with that. Can we always use more? Absolutely. But we're bringing in Jaquavius Story right now. And Adam Hopkins, the other one decommitted, apparently was an upgrade, depending on who you talk to, getting Adam Hopkins as opposed to the other one. I can't even remember his name now. So there's 2 more coming in. I think everybody's panicking over the 2 that have chose to sit out. I don't get that. We've already addressed that on other streams, other than just fan speculation about the potential of someone as opposed to the reality of someone. Now, listen, I think Camden Brown has probably shown enough that if he decided to sit out, that would concern me. But I don't think that's going to happen. Camden Brown sees his value, I think. Florida, hey, listen, if you always talk about it, it could be worse. Florida has really tanked. They really, really, really have. They are struggling to find traction again as a program. I will say, who says that we seem to go through these trends, but we always bounce back up like pretty quickly, it feels like, in my opinion, during my lifetime. Tuberville, like you said, took 2 years for Gene to fix it. Malzahn right away. This one has not been all that great. And I was too young to really grasp the bounce back from Bowden to Tuberville. But I believe that one was fairly within 3 seasons quick. They haven't been relevant since 2008. Well, that's what happens when you have generational players, but nothing else. See, Auburn had a generational player, but was able to still be consistent. Not consistent, excuse me, that's a misspeak. Was able to be more, what's a good word? I'm trying to think of a good word. Competitive over time. All right, final comments and questions, if you got them. We've been going for about 50 minutes with this. I know it's not fun for these reaction shows these days, but thank you guys so much for being here and hanging out with me. But if you got a final comment or question you'd like me to address, post it right now. Links in the description. Subscribe. Leave a comment on this video after the fact, not here in the live chat. If you want to be entered, have another entry into our giveaway for that signed Auburn football. We're doing that right now, trying to reach a subscriber goal. So if you want to be part of that, make sure you do that. Other links in the description you can check out to be a channel member, all that kind of stuff. Smash the like button unless you don't want to, like certain other individuals who don't like sunshine pumping, apparently. I'm sorry. But yeah, so do all those things if you would like to check out some of the ways you can support our content here. We just appreciate you being here, though. Bowden, Senator Tubbs, and Chizik all had 1 undefeated season, but nobody else yet. Tennessee knocking off Georgia would be awesome. They will all be Tennessee fans. Alabama went through the same thing before Nick Saban. I don't know that theirs is as comparable to us. They fell off, unless you're saying like the Tennessee or the Florida fall off. Is that what you're saying? That would be more comparable. Auburn, when they fall, they tend to bounce back much quicker. This is just... not going well. But that may be not enough sunshine, non-sunshine pumping for some people, so I apologize. Yes, it is only partly sunny here, so I don't know how you pump any more sunshine into it other than if it was completely sunny. But I can tell you from the dryness and soreness of my sunburned skin from today, and I don't know if you can even see it on this side of my face. It was nice and chilly this morning, but boy, does Alabama weather warm straight up really, really quickly. All right, guys, thank y'all so much for being here. I really appreciate it. Even those of y'all that misbehaved and even those of y'all that say this is a terrible place to be, I really appreciate y'all being here, but I especially appreciate those of you that keep coming back, are happy to be part of our family within the Auburn family, because that's what we're trying to build here. People that operate off of rationale, context, can talk about the real things, but not get so boringly negative about everything as well. I appreciate you guys so much for being part of our little family within the Auburn family. You are the best ones. I promise that. I mean that. And it will get better at some point. But until then, War Eagle.